Hello and welcome. In today's exciting episode, we are going to take a look at my 5 top sewing essentials or handmade garment essentials. But before we get into this episode, I just wanted to say a quick, very big thank you to all those who left comments on my last video. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Oh, and Simplicity Patterns and Something Delightful, they're all one online pattern company now. They've got a sale on Vogue patterns at the moment, just in case you didn't know. It's perfect. Perfect jacket. Well, I was going through my patterns because I was getting out the ones I've made to make that episode where I do a quick review of all the patterns that I've actually used so far in the past year or year and a half. And I had some YouTube sewing videos on, and I came across a lot of episodes about 5 handmade essentials. So it started with Sarah from Knotty Gnome Craft. There was a handbag one where 5 essential handbags, and she decided to make it about garments. So what you have to do is pick one top, one bottom, so a skirt or a pair of trousers, all in one, so a dress or a pair of overalls, or something like that. 4 is a layering or outerwear piece. And then the last category is a wildcard, so it can be a repeat from one of the other categories or something completely different. So first up, we have our top. I'm going for a shirt or a button-up. It is NewLook N6698, and it has 2. One is 3/4 sleeves and one is sort of to the elbow puffy sleeve. So they're kind of long for a puffy sleeve. More recently, I've been sort of halving the length of the sleeve, the puffy sleeve, and making it a shorter puffy sleeve, and it's adorable. So with this one, I haven't finished it yet. I was going to put the collar on, but then I'm now going to put a hood on. I still haven't done it because I was hoping that I could do both the collar and the hood, but it's not going to work. So anyway, 2 of these have the 3/4 sleeves because I didn't have enough to do the puffy sleeve. And in my size, it takes about 1.5 yards to do the 3/4 sleeve and 2 yards to do the full puffy sleeve, especially if it's directional. And then I use the puffy sleeve pattern to make the sleeves for this gingerbread house jacket that I made back in Vlogmas in December, where you make a video each day. And I didn't beat it till January, but yeah, I used the puffy sleeve pattern to make that. And in some of my dresses, I make a really puffy sleeve. So I use the puffy sleeve, and this is me just adding them to dresses because I don't normally wear shirts, just as shirts. I either wear them with a t-shirt underneath or a dress over the top. So this is just a rag bag. I just sort of grabbed any dress. So I'm not sure they're totally matching. Actually, yeah, I love this vintage green dress with I love green and aqua and pink and mauve together. I just think they're a delightful combination. Hence that one there. This one is, that's the overalls bib and braces dress that I made at the start of the month. And that's the yellow blouse that I fully intended to get done this month, but I haven't done it yet. And that's the mushroom one. It's sort of beige with mushrooms and bugs on it. And I've just put it with awkwardly paired it with an apricot dress. I'm not really sure why, but I quite like the combination because it's beige with red toadstool mushrooms on there, and it kind of goes if you look at it from far away. And this one is one of my favorite little summer dresses, and it's got green flowers and purple leaves. So the purple leaves in the dress print kind of, sort of, not really go with the shirt. I think it's a cute, quirky combination. Anyway, so I just sort of thought I'd give you an idea of how I actually wear the shirts. I do have a bunch of other shirt patterns. I particularly like all the Vogue ones and that vintage simplicity one, and I will be making them in the second half of this year. So stay tuned. Second category is skirts or trousers. I personally just make 3-tier skirts out of cotton lawn, but I know a lot of you want a classic skirt to go with your Chanel style jacket. So these 3 Vogue ones I find are particularly suited to that. But yeah, as I said, personally, I just make 3-tier skirts because they're, bohemian skirts, and I don't know. I do have a lot of vintage dress and vintage skirt patterns with a matching jacket, and I would like to get to them eventually, but for now, these really suit me. What I did was I just bought a small amount of a dozen or so different fabrics. I think I bought them from Fabworks in the UK. They ship around the world, and they had a minimum of 1/2 meter, which is just over 1/2 yard. And I think I got 13 in the end, which is 6.5 meters, and which is about 7 yards. And I made 2 full-length skirts, and this is the third one I made with the brown, the mustard, and the purple. The other ones are, one is pink and green prints, and the other one is navies, all the navy prints. And yeah, the navy one had slightly more fabric in it because there were slightly more blue ones. And yeah, I just love them so much. So that's a vintage simplicity one that I want to make eventually. But for the moment, I'm really happy with these 3. And yeah, as I said, like one is navy, one is pink and green, and one is the muddy colours, brown, mustard and purple. And yeah, I just have so many, at least a dozen jackets that go with each one of these skirts. And because my jackets are so overbeaded and really complex, it's nice to have a really simple skirt to go with them. I know bohemian skirts aren't everyone's cup of tea, and in a couple of years or a decade or so, I'll probably switch over to wearing vintage skirts, or more so than these bohemian ones. But for now, I'm really happy with these 3. I keep meaning to make more skirts, but I don't know, I just find that these 3 are enough at the moment. I'd rather make dresses and shirts and jackets. So you saw the brown and blue one, and this is the pink one. This one is like almost 15 years old. It's one of the first ones I made, but I still love it to bits. This orange one is also a Linton tweeds in the UK, and I handmade that trim, and I overbeaded it with like thousands of beads. So yeah, that's how I generally wear my skirts. Obviously, you can, instead of wearing a t-shirt and a jacket with my skirts, I could wear a shirt. And then the next category is the all-in-one. So a dress or a jumpsuit or something like that. I've gone for dresses. One of my absolute favourite things about having a sewing machine or knowing how to hand sew is that you can make vintage dresses, and you can actually buy the patterns pretty easily these days, and I just think that's awesome. But at the moment, I'm really into pullover dresses. In second place comes this Empire Line dress from Simplicity 9702, and yeah, I love that dress. But the winner absolutely is this one here, because I have made dozens and dozens of this one. So Butterick 6677, all of these ones are just from the same pattern. In the original pattern, it's unlined. You're supposed to use bias binding around the neckline, and it's sleeveless, but I've just added sleeves from either a shirt dress pattern I had, or that blouse that NewLook blouse pattern I had for that blue dress on the right. And I love that floral. It's so pretty. This one you just saw with the shirt under it. This is what it looks like plain. It's got pockets. The short ones have all got pockets. This one, instead of just making the skirt that semi-fitted one, I did the top of it semi-fitted, like the first quarter, and then the other bits are like 3 tiers of just fabric torn salvage to salvage, and then the first tier is 2 bits, the second tier is 4 bits, and the bottom tier is 8 bits. So yeah, it's a really simple pattern and I love it. I've just made so many dozens and dozens of dresses out of it. And the next one is an outer or layering piece, and I of course predictably chose the Vogue 7975. There are loads of other vintage and like modern day jacket patterns that I really do want to get around to. But for tweed jackets in the turn of the century Karl Lagerfeld era Chanel, you really can't go wrong with the Vogue 7975. These are all these ones here. I think maybe there's 2 that aren't, but the vast majority of the jackets you're seeing, all these ones, that is a Chanel tweed made up in the Vogue 7975, and then I overbeaded it with about 4 or several different types of green beads. I'm trying to use up, for those of you who are new here, I'm trying to use up my very extensive bead collection. And I've also, over the past decade and a half, invested in almost 200 tweeds. So I'm trying to make them all up into jackets, and which I then embellish in a very Lesage kind of way, which is the premier embellishment house in Paris. This is me just taking loads of footage of my favourite jackets that I've made. They just take so long to make. I mean, the process is really enjoyable, but it's also incredibly labour intensive. And that's why it's great to have such a simple, striking, beautiful jacket pattern, that it just carries the beading so well because it's so simple and plain. You can just do the most over the top beading and it still looks kind of understated, especially since I tend to dress them down with just wearing them with jeans and a t-shirt and heeled boots. So yeah, this one, it's got little flags of ribbon in there and it's supposed to look like a meadow full of wildflowers. I love that one. It's a Chanel style tweed in metallic silver, black, white, and the ribbons. That was an actual Chanel tweed. Still is, but I overbeaded it with so many different beads. There's some tiny little ones that look like kiwi fruits. So adorable. I'm really, really proud of that one. And that red, and the one at the back with the all over red and hot pink beads. Really, really proud of that one too. But anyway, let's move on from my obsessive love of jackets to the next category, which is a wild card. So I swear I'll cut this footage off in a second. Any second now, any second. See, you can sort of see the tweed jacket underneath. It's so beautiful. I started beading just a plain cotton one, and it's not the same. I really love using an exquisite complex tweed and then overbeading it, because you get these tiny glimpses of the beautiful tweed underneath, and it's just, I don't know. Each time I get them out, I feel like I fall in love with them all over again. Anyway, we are now officially moving on to item 5, which is a wild card. And it's not really another pattern as such, but it is layer cake dresses, because they are my latest obsession. So I started just making these dresses just by doing one layer of each of the skirts in a different color, and then I was like, oh, or I could just do lots of different slices, because you know, on Instagram and TikTok, if you're on that, they have those, they're like cakes that are so thin they look like pancakes, and then icing, and then pancakes and cream, then pancake, then jam, or well, it's layers of cake. Anyway, so that, but in dress form. Particularly love the green one, but these are the ones that I just had on recently. I'm doing this pink and red one, and I'm doing the bodice at the moment. And just using the scraps from, I made the skirt first and have these tiny scraps left over. If you wanted to make something but you want to use a pattern, you don't want to just do it freeform, that Vintage Simplicity one might be a good place to start, because it's got 3 distinct tiers on the skirt as it is. So yeah, there you go. Those are my 5 essentials for me. I know they're not everyone's cup of tea. I have had a lot of fun making these. I think, I might revisit this again in another year, and I'll have tried different shirt patterns by then, maybe some new skirt patterns, and definitely some new vintage dress patterns. And maybe even some new jacket patterns. We'll see. I kind of get stuck on Vogue 7975, but I will try. So these are my 5 essentials for now. But I think in a year's time, I might well and truly have discovered new ones. So let me know if you have any that you think I should try, or you've got some absolute faves that you wish people knew about more. And So thank you again for all the wonderful comments on my last video. I really, really genuinely appreciate it. And I am off to finish those 5 jackets now. Got to get them done before the end of the month. I am absolutely determined. So thank you once again for watching, and I hope you've been inspired to try some of these. Make a layer cake dress. They're so awesome. It's kind of like a lazy person's version of a patchwork dress, I guess. I just think they're super pretty and they're so cheerful and fun, and the skirt's so full, so they're absolutely fabulous to twirl in as well. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and I shall see you later.